Guys, can I tell you something? The funniest thing ever. So, like 10 minutes before this session at 5 o'clock, Tabisa calls me about Moja Lab. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, I was watching some painful stuff, so I wanted to share with the brother, but now he's not, you know. Anyway, he knows what I was trying to share. So now that you shared with everyone, it's
Yeah.
really painful, was it? I at least was on TV today to see Moja Love. I actually watched 3 series of that. Thanks.
Oh my God. Anyway, are you guys ready to get started? How deep do you guys want me to go? I have levels of deepness. I can go elementary school, like grade one. I can go grade seven. I can go grade 10, or I can go advanced mathematics, but metric.
You have 2 hours, so you can go on all levels
No, I'm
because.
planning to talk at least half an hour to an hour, then it's going to be questions. So,
Okay, with
Yeah,
that hour, just summarize all levels because people are in different levels.
all
Some
I
will
right.
go
think,
on your level,
Ravi,
by the way. So yeah.
you can start from grade one. Those that are grade less than grade one, sorry for them, but let's start at grade one, and we can. I think we have enough time to actually just move through to just accommodate people that are not very learned on this
On
topic.
this topic, all right. Okay, so here it is now. So the year is 2004, and a lot was going on with me at the time. I think at the time we were, we after all the abuse of this, all these things growing up, one ended up being having friends, not so good friends. So we were involved in a case of attempted murder, which lasted for like 2 years. And I was watching something, I guess, for me to escape the trauma that was happening at home and the trauma that was happening with my life. I used to watch these tribes, these indigenous tribes, these people. They looked so happy, and they'd be dancing in water, and they'd be dancing the whole day after hunting. And it was such an amazing feeling for me to escape my reality and watch those people with all the stuff that was going on with my life. And this one time I was watching a docu-series on the BBC, and there was this white guy who used to go to different tribes. So he'd go to different tribes in the world, like so many different tribes. And this one time he was in Gabon, and he was with the tribe there. And within all the tribes that he went to, he used to get initiated. So their plan was, the whole show was around getting initiated into different tribes. So the tribesmen there, they said, for you to get initiated, we first need to go hunt this tree and look for this tree and these group of trees, and your initiation is gonna last like 3 days to a week. And he's like, what will be going on there? And it's like, no, you'll be in another world, another dimension. And the guy was laughing, and he's like, no, man, there's just no way there's something like that. Another world, another dimension. I've been in many tribes, and they all say the same thing. I'm gonna see this time. So he did. He did. They then took him through that initiation. It took something called Iboga, which is now called Ibogaine, famously known as Ibogaine. He took that and he really, really did go through those dimensions. And this guy came back and he was crying. And it was the first time me seeing him so emotional in the show. And he was crying and he was like, I cannot believe what I saw. I saw so many things. I saw how I influence people, how my energy interacts with other people, and all the pain that I've caused in the world because of my pain. That was, to me, was like, what the hell is that? And that's when the seed was planted to me. I thought, these indigenous people must know something that we don't know. Here's this guy who doesn't seem to believe in anything, let alone spirituality. And he's crying, saying that he saw his ancestors and saw all types of things. And he's saying that he needs to go back to Europe and they have to cut the show. And he actually said that he has to go back to Europe. He has to sort his issues with his family and stuff. So I was like, wow, this is insane. Then that's where I started trying to understand what psychedelics are. I didn't even know the word. I just kept learning about tribes, tribe people and their medicine, tribe people and their medicine. And then I started learning more and more and going deep and deep with my understanding of it. And then fast forward a couple of years later, more than a decade later, I've been started my healing journey, healing my substance abuse, going through all of those things. Then I suddenly just relapsed. I don't know, I didn't even know what was happening with me, but I relapsed so heavily, so aggressively that I was destroying everything that I stood for at the time. Everything. Like I wanted to destroy everything. I wanted to destroy myself. And because of that relapse, it really made me think that maybe I should just try and order these things and just get them and just try and get a taste of what these things can do to me before I kill myself. you know. So I did. I got Huachuma, which is from Peru in South America, and it's also called mescaline. And because I didn't know much about it, in fact, I did know, but I thought, oh no, man, I have so many problems. I might as well increase the dose. So I made my dose for almost 4 people. Bad idea. Whilst I was cooking it, so it took like almost a day to cook, right? So it was like 24 hours or so. And whilst I was cooking it, I was already inside the trip, but I didn't see because I was extremely paranoid whilst cooking it. Extremely. I was closing doors, double checking everything, double checking if the stove is closed enough. And whenever I'm going to sleep, I dream of these weird dimensions, and I'd be like, "What the hell? And did I just explode? Did I just die?" I'm like, I don't care. So eventually I do. And then I went to this is crazy part is I took my motorcycle. I didn't drive to the park. I took my motorcycle to the park. I thought this is just gonna be a quick thing. And I started taking the psychedelia. So on my way, I'm walking in this park. It's a mountain biking hike park where I usually hike. But it was the morning, so it was like fairly empty. So I walk to the ends of it, like where no one can find me. And I realize now that it was still the medicine just pulling me towards that. Because I felt so intuitive suddenly. I was like connected with the trees and they were guiding me. They saying, not that side, my boy, go this side. Not that side, my boy, go this side. And then on the way there, I saw this man. I'm not sure if it was part of the trip or if it was real till this day. I saw this man. He looked like he had no soul, but he looked very, I don't know, man. If you can imagine a shadow self in manifestation. And he said to me, and I'm like, "Sha, Bujan ba, Bujan, oi." It's like, and I'm like, what a dirty man doing here? What's going on? And I keep moving. Then it starts. Now, whilst I'm walking, I start seeing trees as if they're conspiring to kill me. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? They're like, Loazi, find a safe place now. I don't even know what that voice is saying. And I keep walking and walking. And now I finally go to like a dense bush, like an extremely dense bush where no one would hear me even if I was crying or shouting. So I was like in this bush now. And then I sit down. Then something says, take another dose and just finish this bottle. Then I just finish the bottle. So now I'm like three and a half times dose, which could have killed me.
Sure.
So, oh man, it was, when it started, I literally thought I'm gonna die. Everything that I could imagine that I feared came up. Everything. So I grew up in an area where IFP and ANC were fighting a lot when I was young, and people were stabbed. There was so many. I saw a lady, they took off his boobs when I was a child. So I saw all those things as if now they're going to happen to me right now in this moment. But because I've read about this a lot, I thought this is just paranoia. But now it just became beyond because even the trees were coming to almost like destroy me. And it felt like the trees are coming to destroy me and destroy me. Then suddenly I just go to another dimension. I'm like, Where is this? And I see these geometric patterns just playing and playing. And it's almost like I'm seeing inside of a tree, but the soul of a tree, but it's just playing and playing. And then it starts getting really scary. I see my ancestors, people that I've never seen, but I knew that this is my bloodline. I knew it was like we had the same soul, or we just ate the same food, or something was just connecting with me. And these people are saying, "What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" You know, and I'm like, I'm gone. You know, even if I open my eyes, I'm gone. I'm closing my eyes, I'm gone because of the dose I took. So I kind of, there's no sense, I had no sense of consciousness. I was literally dead in a sense. So they like, "What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "What am I doing here?" And within that, some these ancestors are asking me, "What am I doing here?" From recent past, by the way, and distant past, meaning like people that I've never seen, but there were some that I've seen before, who passed away when I was younger, my grandparents, etc. And I'm like, "Hey, what am I doing here?" And I'm like, "I'm here to heal. I'm here to heal. I'm here to heal." They like, "What do you want to heal?" I'm like, "I'm here to heal my wounds. I want to die. And I don't know. I'm confused. I've never had a life. I've never felt like I existed ever in my life." And then they like, "Let us show you." And when it's like, "Let us show you," then the world just keeps going forward, as if like all the tragedies of the world that are going to come, fast forward, fast forward, maybe to a millennia away. Then I go into this planet, and this planet is gone. There's nothing. It's just gray, and it's lethargic. It's got acid. It's just crap. And I'm like, what? The world is gonna be this way. Then I come back. By the time I come back from that to this reality, and I'm like, then I become conscious again for like a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds. I'm like aware. I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm here." And I've been traveling so much. And I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm here. I'm at this park. What's happening?" And then that paranoia starts again, which is the PTSD. It comes, post-traumatic stress disorder. It comes. This is what's going to happen to you. You're going to die. I'm being shown how I'm going to die. Like someone's going to slit my throat. And then a cousin who wasn't close to me, who recently had passed away, came to me and he said, "No, no, 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 Greg, this is wrong what you guys are doing. Luazi, come with me. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you around." It felt so safe. That guy, we weren't so close, but he was my guardian angel in that moment. He was my guardian angel. He came and he showed me around. He showed me a lot of things. I went and I saw different dimensions. I saw my traumas. I saw how everything started with my father's side of the family, as to what was happening with him for him to become so abusive. I saw my mother and what had happened to her for her to become so abusive. I saw how all of that energy played into my depression and my wanting to die for such a long time. So that's a trip report, but it's a very brief one. Of course, it goes deeper than that. But long story short, though, I left that park strapped on someone's seat, and I left my bike for 2 days outside that park because that's how extreme it is. And I was helped, I think, at the ninth or 10th hour inside my trip. So because of the dose that I took, it lasted for like 18 hours, just to give you an idea. And within that trip, the beautiful thing that came there that I didn't understand at the time is that there were these men, and these men were teaching me different medicine. They showed me so much medicine, so much. They like there's like they were like there's a tree and a solution of trees for every single human ailment you can imagine. And they were showing me how to administer it, and they were telling me everything that I did was wrong with how I did this. First of all, I cooked this thing without having any spiritual thing going on with me. You know, I just cooked it. So I was like, let me just cook and just drink this thing, you know. And I never had any like opening an intention saying this is my intention. I was like, hey, if I die, I die. I was in that state. And I never had the respect for the medicine. I never understood what it is and how to administer it. And so these men were showing me, and they were singing these songs for me that ended up later that I know now that they are sang throughout any shaman who uses medicine. And they were singing these songs that made me really feel comfortable, as much as it was painful in many parts of the trip, but I really felt comfortable. You know, even when I was going through past lives and seeing so many being dying in somewhere and being a bushman somewhere and living my life from child to old within that time, the songs just kept me anchored into this reality, into this my consciousness, this existence. And so I came out of there. I was traumatized. I think for like 2 or 3 months, I was just in self isolation. I saw too much, and I don't know. I felt like maybe I died and I didn't come back. But now I'm a ghost and I'm roaming this planet, like recreating it. That's how I felt. It was a really really traumatic experience that I'd never wish for anyone ever, ever. And but the good thing is that I learned how to administer so many different medicines, and all the things that I learned from that trip have been unveiling themselves. Um, Even with people that have went through my facilitation as a psychedelic practitioner, all the things I'd learned from there. There are so many medicines I haven't seen yet, but they slowly starting to pop up slowly and slowly. And the medicines that I've got after that experience are medicines where someone just calls me and says, "Hey, Rosie," and it just so happens that person will give you medicine like that's worth 10K without me paying a cent. So in a sense, from what I know is that it's almost like the medicine is calling me in some aspect or the other. Even though I'm a businessman, I'm an entrepreneur, but yeah, I think I have now. It's almost like I have two lives. But I was told in a trip that you don't have lives, two lives. You have one life, and this is all of it: the healing and and the entrepreneurship. You know, it's all just one thing. You are yourself. So that's what I learned. And then I want to move now to facilitation. I've had many trips after that, many things that are beyond words to explain, many things that are beyond explaining, things that I go to sleep by myself and understand, oh, this is how the world works. Oh, this is what that means. And many people won't understand. Sometimes I ask myself, oh my God, bruh, you know, I should start a religion. I'm joking. But fast,
Baba.
fast forward to fast forward to different people that I've took into healing, different healing journeys. It has been amazing. I'm gonna tell the story because I love telling this story because that was one of my first stories that made me see the power of this medicine. So there was this lady. Um, she had a very strong father wound. She had scars on herself, and her mom didn't want to tell her who her father is. She heard by neighbors because her mom was married that she's not of the same father that she grew up with. And that father had died many years ago when she was a child, right? So she grew up, and when we met, she was going through a breakthrough because her, her fiance had cheated on her and got some girl pregnant. An amazing lady who went through all of these things. And she'd always had that thing with men, that issue with men that they disappoint her at the very end. You know, that was a pattern. So we went on the trip with her on the idea that it will heal her depression. But I had a different intention for her because I usually do a therapy session, multiple therapy sessions with clients. And my intention was her to solve the father wound. I could see it through her because I had that a lot. So we go on a trip, and then within a trip, we're in the Drakensberg Mountains, a very cold day. Within the trip, she then meets this man who she sees that this is her father. This man then tells her his name and his surname and from which house that he comes from. He then, this man becomes then his guardian angel within the trip. He then goes and shows him what was happening with his mother when the mom was young and was pregnant with her. And she then sees that her mom was being kicked by her husband about this pregnancy. And that's where she started being tense and having headaches. And then she also saw that her mom's husband's the grandmother tried to kill her. And that's why she has scars, because her mom never explained that to her. She then saw how what the conflicts that her mother was going through in that moment, the pain that she was going through every day, sleeping, crying, and being victimized by society as a whole. She then felt everything that her mother felt. So by that story, I'm sure you guys in the healing path, you can tell that she had a closure with the mother wound as well, because she experienced what her mother experienced, and she saw what influenced her choices on even not letting her know who her real father was. She then saw as well through her father what influenced her father's choices on him not being there and choosing to carry on with his life with another family. So she came out of the trip, and for me, that was the first trip for me that really, really, really shocked me about the power of psychedelics. I learned a lot from that trip. She was also shown how her mom, because mom is in and out of hospital, how it all began then. And also shown how it's not a story that's new in an ancestral family. It's a story that has happened before. It's a cycle and repeat, but it gets stronger as the lessons are not learned. That was an amazing, amazing experience. So I'm going to shift now. And I'm going to talk about common themes that people go through. I would love to talk about the pharmacopoeia of the medicine, but I think that's irrelevant in someone in the healing journey unless you want to be a scientist and want to mix it. I would talk about like the sequences of what creates the medicine, which are unknown, not entirely known, but they're busy because I have a friend who's a pharmacologist who's really interested in this, and he's been administering medicine for the past couple of years as well. And so I learn a lot from him regarding that. But that's besides the point. We're here for healing. So the common themes that I've seen with clients over time is, first of all, it's the ancestors. I realize that ancestors are not something that is outside of you, but something that you are walking with. It's your energy. You are thinking, hey, let me slaughter a chicken for my ancestors, but you're not aware that you're slaughtering that chicken for yourself. That's a language, that's a communication that you created maybe 500 years ago. This is how you're going to communicate with your energy. And you are that energy, you are that ancestor. You can shift that sort of language whenever it is you want to shift it. It might not be easy, but you can definitely shift it. So the common thing is the ancestral trauma. We typically go on our journey thinking that the problems are with me, and you're not aware that the problem started a long time ago. Before my psychedelic thing, hated my father and my mother as well. I had many moments in my life when I was a young child where I was like, I need to kill them. That's why I was pulled to science, because I wanted to understand how I can kill them without being caught. But it showed me then that the medicine showed me ancestrally, it went back maybe to 1,000 years ago, where I saw these two human beings who were carrying a child who's like maybe my earliest ancestor. And these two human beings were attacked by nature. It was cold and it was dark, and there were elements that were there to destroy these two humans. And all they cared about, they didn't care if the child is crying or not. They didn't care if the child is laughing. They didn't care if the child is dirty or not. All they cared about was that the child survives. So that showed me, in that moment, I felt love. I saw that that was what love was then, the survival of this child. And so for me to say I'm going to hate them for the conditions that created them to respond to me, if I was the child in that way, was not smart. And that's how the closure starts in. So the ancestors are the common theme. And then I've seen with people that there's also the pyramids. Interestingly enough, the pyramids are also quite a common theme. And then the universal common theme again, and another one is the aliens. And then you have the commonest common theme if someone is going through like something that's psychosomatic. Let's say they have migraines, they have stomach cramps, or they keep attracting bad sexual partners. There are these beings that always come in a trip, and I always ask them, "Who are you?" And they once answered me, and they said, "Sithina sangabalethwa," meaning we are the one brought into this. Because when you're going through a psychedelic experience, you you can sort of you can see everything, that everything is connected. But when these beings, when they come, it's almost like they coming from somewhere else, like a different, I don't even say time, but a different place, dimension. And they always look the same because they're like made of light, right? And but they made of light and they tall. And I know that some people maybe might call those angels, but I always try to redefine things and ask people in my language so they can give me my language. And I'm like, nobody then. And they're like, no, Sabalet, and you're interrupting us, you know. So what usually happens is that when these angels or beings, when they come, these are very common, is that you then see yourself out of your body and you are looking at your body and they are operating on it. Sometimes if you have like headaches and stuff, they operate on your headache. If you are going to have a cancer, they're going to tell you that you are going to have a cancer here. So that's why you're operating. And then with each client, you can see the way they move that this operation is happening. And sometimes when you are really involved in a trip, you can almost see what the clients are seeing. So you can see that, oh, this is where they're operating now, because you can see someone like sort of moving because they busy now. I don't know, like they putting energy in that part and cleaning, if you can call it cleaning your chakras, if you will. So that's another common theme. And then another common theme is ego death, the feeling that you're going to die, the death of everything, the feeling that you're going to lose everything you ever worked for, everything that you ever built, the fear that your loved ones are going to cry and say, oh my God, he or she is dead. That ego death, that is a very common one. It's the one that is almost sometimes the gateway, depending on the administrator of the trip. When I started this, I didn't know how to go through that with someone without it being as harsh as it sometimes can be. But now it can be gentle. I can even do it remotely, and the ego death would be gentle or will not even come or come later because it has to happen within your trip where you experience that you are not physical. You are more than your physical body. Then there's also the bodily death, which is someone they just freeze sometimes. And that freezing where you're like, is this person still breathing? But if you were to get out and not be a facilitator, you'd ask yourself, is this person still breathing? But it's like almost like a physical death, an escape of something. It's so weird. And then you have the common theme, which is the tragic ending of humanity should we continue how we are continuing. That's another very common theme. If we continue how we're continuing with this matrix, we are surely doomed. Because now the problem that we are fighting is that we've created a fake scarcity. We've created an idea that there's a scarcity of food. It's all an idea, and that there's more money than there is food in this world. That's crazy. Just pay the person and you'll get the food. So if we continue going jalo, then we're gonna have problems. And then another one common theme is the one of I know a lot of people like to say it's past lives, but I'm one person that I don't know. Maybe I have a scientific mind. I want to understand because I know that with every single atom that we have, every atom in my body carries all the memory of existence. So everything exists right now inside of me. and whatever, whether it's a past life or it's a memory that lives inside of me, I wouldn't be sure if what it is between that. But that's also a common theme that I saw because growing up in that area, like I explained earlier, IFP and ANC fighting, civil war, South Africa, it made me really, really hate white people. And within the past lives that I've experienced when I'm in a trip, I was this white man and I experienced him being conditioned into hating black people. And I also experienced him seeing black people for the first time and wanting to kill them, because he was afraid of the purity that he saw, because he was abused when he was a child. So he hated purity, just like an abuser. Like hurt people. A rapist was raped when they were a child. He was doing that when he came here to Africa. And I was that man, and I saw my childhood growing up and being this old man, this angry man, and I died so empty. So I saw that. So that's another common theme. And another common theme is that the soul does continue. Something that I never believed in before psychedelics, ever, ever. I really believe that since we are making the heart in a lab, we are soon going to make the brain in the lab, and we are soon going to complete a human being. That's what I believed. And now I've learned that there's something higher than that, that exists. And we can call it the soul, the higher self, or the spirit, whatever term you use. But that's also a very common theme within the trip. And then going deeper a little, there are multiple dimensions within our existence. A lot of dimensions. Interesting dimensions. There are quite a few dimensions. And these dimensions, all of them, they don't they seemingly operate separately, but they operate together. But that's for an advanced course, right, guys? So yeah, man, I just wanted to go on the trip. I said it's gonna be 30 to 1 hour. I'm just gonna talk about stories and psychedelics. Now I just wanna open the floor because I know there'll be a ton of questions around this. Does anyone have any question?
There is a question in the chat. Talan is asking, is there any age restriction for this medicine?
I've never had a child, but I know that in the Amazon, they start at 8 years old. So even with Iboga, so the strongest medicine are Ayahuasca and Huachuma. Ayahuasca is like the mother and Huachuma is the father. And if they start administering it at like as early as 8 years old, I think there's not much age restriction. Where there is a restriction, though, is your health and what are you taking. So if you're taking any synthetic thing like antidepressants, and all those type of medicines, then you can't really go on a journey. You have to first detox first. Another thing is, especially with ayahuasca and Huachuma, is that if you've ever had a heart attack or anything like that, you can't go on it because now you might just see something that will scare the hell out of you, and you'll just your heart might stop, and we don't want that. But in time, because the people in like the indigenous tribes have been practicing this a lot, anyone and everyone can take the medicine in that part of the world. In our part, I'm also still learning now. I've learned a way to go gentle with the medicine, meaning where it starts you gently, slowly, and you think nothing is happening, nothing is happening, nothing is happening, but it's happening in the background and it just happens. But it feels like you're being held by a mom, and it's more loving and caring versus the more like that I experienced the first time.
Okay, she also asks, can the information or common things I'm sharing influence how my trip goes?
Can the information on?
Can the information or common themes you just shared while you were doing your presentation influence how her trip goes?
Yeah. Your trip goes in a way that it wants to go. It's going to show you what it's going to show you. But I was just stating common themes that I've experienced through clients, as in their common themes. One client might not see the pyramids or any aliens of almost every client, but one might not go on might not see Abaleto, for example, the angels or those beings that fix you. So it's different for everyone. Sometimes it can just go on dimensions and dimensions and dimensions and show you how time is just a construct, and maybe that's what's trapping you in your whole life, you know. So it's different. Someone is saying raising their hands.
No, it's me.
Lozi, just a question on my side. Sorry, Taha, I can't see the hand raising functionality. Just a build up on one of the questions that you were asked with regards to age restriction. Have you ever had a situation where you with a client and you guys are having that pre-counseling, pre-therapy session, and you feel like this person is not ready for the medicine?
Here's what I do with that. That's such a smart question. You sound like a facilitator. What I do with that, Zanele, is that I drag it. You do meet some people. Some people are going through existential angst, and they just want to, they're in a point where they just want to say, they're just doing this for, they don't have any grounding around it. I don't know. It's just a sense of energy. What I do is that I actually drag it a little. I actually push them away a little, just a little, so that they can come back with different energy towards the conversation. Especially during the therapy session, where I really try to navigate your core wound or get a sense of your core wound. Then that's where I see if this person is ready or not. And I've once had that. It's so crazy you asked that. I've had that once, where this guy, I saw that he had so many layers and pillars that he was sheltering his whole self in. And he thought this is just one of those things where I'm going to add to those layers that I've done this and this and this and this and this and this. And this. I know everything. So I didn't want him to use the medicine in that way, because he might just have a very bad trip. So sometimes I just get someone, slowly get them into the vibration that I'm in, or my energy, that state of calmness, which is what's needed in a trip. That's going to help him the most. So when I say state of calmness, I'm talking about his inner child. I'm talking about the place of love within him, because every human being is born out of love until you go into this world, and then you get all these pillars and pillars and pillars and pillars and get sheltered so much. So I always try to bring him back to that. So that's when we go into the trip, he's coming from that place. And all the lessons that he's going to learn in the trip, he's going to learn in a good way. And back then I was practicing Huachuma strictly, which is Huachuma is more fatherly, so it doesn't waste time. If something had happened to you and you're suppressed, it's just going to show you. It's not going to guide you and say, this is what happened to your father, wah, wah, wah. It's just going to show you directly. It's very harsh. So it really needs you to consider the person. Yes. Someone's hand is raised. For me.
Greetings, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for a wonderful time. Sorry, can someone tell me if there's a background noise or what? So I can move if there is.
Now we can hear you. There's a little a little though,
Okay,
like an FM radio.
all right. All right, okay, thanks. Yeah, no, thank you. I've been listening. When you first started speaking, I wanted to cry. I wanted to cry so much. I just went so deep and so far. I just wanted to cry. I don't know why. And then you explained certain things. I think you started speaking about whatever other clients talk about, or rather experience and what. And then it was as if I went into sleep. I actually didn't hear none of what you guys said.
Mm.
Didn't hear anything. It was almost like I'm in a trip of some sort as I'm listening to you guys right now. But yeah, what I would like to share with everyone, because I've recently experienced the medicine, therefore I would like to almost share briefly my experience with it. So, so last week I went through my trip um, with the help of Ulwazi. But what I want to share is how it actually all started. I got um, I got to be, I would like to say, called by the medicine. I'd like to call it that. I don't know what's the name for it. But this was last year, sometime last year around August, September, whereby what will happen is to a point which I'll go to different nurseries where they sell plants, and I'll stand in the middle of a nursery, and people obviously abasebenza laphana will want to assist as usual, doing their customer service. And then I'll tell them, no, don't worry. And I'll feel something in me, and it will be like, it will tell me which plant to go to. You can imagine in a nursery there are so many plants, but I was particularly interested only on succulents and what's the other one? Sorry, I'm saying, I'm almost like I'm in a trip. Like, I don't know, my mind just messed up just by this talk. I don't know. What's the other one? The one with thorns.
A cactus.
Cactus, and then the aloe. And then the aloe. Yeah, sorry, I want to say the cactus, but the three. So succulent, cactus, and aloe. So I'll buy different ones. So at that time, I did a lot of traveling around that time because of certain project I was doing. So where I was, I would make sure I will enter each nursery of different places I will be in around that time last year, and I'll find these different plants. I'll buy them small, about 10 rand and what. So I'll buy the very small ones and tell myself I'll just grow them. And then I remember I'll bring them back in small pot plants, obviously. And then I think I spent about 2 weeks sitting like that. And then from there, I was directed to start planting them. I started looking at my whole yard. I started figuring out space, where to plant these things. And I would plant them. But as I plant, I would almost like hear how I should plant, what I should do, what I shouldn't do, the water part of it, because can only put so much water. If you put too much water, then it's also a problem. All of that. Then all of a sudden, I was introduced to this white lady out of nowhere. Um, I got to hear Uguti. I must buy. I must buy what there's something I'm supposed to buy. So which I'm not gonna disclose here, but I was even directed where to go, and then I found this white lady, and then eventually we created some kind of a relationship with the white lady. So one day she invited me for lunch at her house. When I got there, I found these San Pedro torches, which at the time I didn't even know the names or whatever they were. They looked like cactus to me, but huge things. Huge, must be like 5-6 meter things, very tall things, different types though. She had succulents, different things around her yard, her farm. She has a farm. And as I was leaving, I told her, I'm attracted to your plants, Langapandle. Then she started saying, no, great. And we walked around the whole farm. I pointed out she will just pick each and everything, a corner, and put in a plastic for me. And I came back with all the succulents as well to the house. Took some weeks before planting them again because it almost like felt I needed to connect and hear. So I was hearing things, but I didn't understand. I knew it was spiritual, but I didn't know and understand the depth of what I was doing. So I started planting. So subsequently, a couple of months later, now fast forward, it's almost going to be going towards a year since I planted these things around my house. they've grown so much. I've shared certain photos. I think Luaze has also seen some photos of them. They've now grown exponentially, double or triple the size, some of them. And yet I bought them like small things that I had to nurture. But as I was nurturing them, every day I would sit in front. There was a time where there was no one speaking to me outside my family, guys. No, it was like my kids, my husband, that's all. There was a time even my mom, my sisters, no one. There was a week where it was dead quiet. I used not to speak to no. It was like the whole world was removed. And I had these plans every single day. I would wake up, I would do meditation. I feel so emotional as I'm speaking about this. I don't know why. But I'll go sit in front of them, do the meditation, and feel something, even though I didn't understand what, but feel it. Then fast forward now with Ulwazi, out of nowhere, you see a group, um, Ulwazi post this in San Pedro torch, whatever thing, say Peru. He posted and say if anyone is interested on understanding about the medicine of the plants, you're welcome to contact me. I don't know how many people contacted him because he said we can contact obviously directly. So I don't know who else responded to him. But what made me to respond to him that day was he posted a similar plant that I have in the house. And I'm like, no, it can't be. I took a photo of it. I didn't even mention nothing to him. Just took a photo. Is the plant you're holding in your hand the same as this one? And you confirmed, and he told me the name. For the first time, I heard the name. And then he told me what it does, and I was shocked. From there, it was like I was accelerated. I got to understand even deeper and further about plants and succulent. I saw a whole lot. And then subsequently, fast forward to last week, I did my trip on my own. we with Ulwazi remotely. So I was like on my own in the house. Ulwazi was standing in the gap for me, obviously supporting me. But yeah, I did the thing. Scary, but what I can confirm is that one of my biggest intentions I put out there was love. I remember even during my trip, I kept on repeating the mantra of love. Was love, and then I am violet light. I kept on repeating that. I'm not going to go into details of my trip. What I can say though, in the beginning of my trip, that mantra was so prevalent as I was going through it. Almost like you start, for me, I don't know, but it's almost like you're starting on the dark side where you're seeing all these dark forces. And that mantra kept me and it helped me because I would then speak love and then I would hear it every stage, every level. I would feel if I entertain the forces that I see here, I'm gonna be stuck there, and that's it. And I would, I would choose to move. I'd say, no, I wanna carry on. I don't wanna be here only. So different levels. There was one level I got to. I saw some things like, I call them cells because they look like cells. They look like your brain. Ngazuthi, it's a brain like thing. Ngazuthi, it's small says ama jelly beans. Amaning. It's like a top. It's like the actual brain. And then this is almost like they have eyes or whatever, but zining and there's so much. And those things spoke to me. And they asked me, what are you doing here in this manner? Because you can come here, you normally come here. So today you come on a different transport. Okay, wow, you use a different transport today. And I looked at them and said, so I come here and say, yeah, when you're always here. But today you chose, so you chose this transport to come. Well, it's fine if you ever chose this transport. But you must know you can come here anytime, so you can do this thing. You don't, they didn't say I don't need the transport. They just said, like they made me aware, you can do it. it's fine though, even if you choose this transport, but just know you've done it previously and you can even do it going forward with or without this transport. And a whole lot of many other interesting things. I only met or saw about 3 humans, meaning umuntu, abantu that I can identify in a physical form. Some of within the 3 or 4 people I saw them in their higher self more than like their faces. So when I saw the higher self, I knew this was this person. And then I saw my own higher self. But other than that, the whole trip I saw entities, I saw beings. I got given a whole lot of downloads, a whole lot of keys for different things in the universe. And it was one big thing. I saw the earth, I saw Mother Gaia and how the earth, the way it is now, the earth, ngayibona igoqeka igoqwa, meaning the earth going forward, how it will be, but the current one, yagoqwa and all of that. So that was like my heart. But for the
I'm back.
You're good, man. Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks for
yes,
this.
Fuzzy. He's back again. You were just that was a lucky time. So, is your internet okay now, Lozzie?
Dude, bro, I don't know what happened there. Yeah, I just shifted from Telcom to Cell C, so I think it should be okay.
Okay. So I don't know if you want to comment into what Bumi has already spoken, or Tabo can just take over and ask his question.
No, man, thank you, Pumi, for coming through and sharing your trip with us. I didn't hear the entire thing by the end, but I know the whole trip. So, so yeah, Tabo, you can come through.
Sure, guys. Thanks for this thing. The energy. I mean, it's something that I'm still figuring out. It's like how that connection with people, and when you in that state, I'm still trying to figure it out because I mean, Bumi's story. It's so similar to the guy that I went to when I started wanting to understand about cannabis. His name is Vavi, but he has a almost similar story as Mpumi because his gift was passed on by his grandfather. Yeah. And then he went on a trip where he was collecting these pink rocks. You know, they look like a Himalayan salt. And when he was telling me this story, man, it was like my mind was like going crazy about. He said, even he was telling me what there was a time where he had to fly Alabata from Cape Town, you know, and then he didn't understand until he went to a home somewhere in the Free State. This home was full of these rocks. This like they look like Himalayan salt. And you know, as you guys are talking about it, I'm just thinking, go back. I'm just thinking, well, what does that mean? I mean, but also, you know, for me, sometimes when I'm going through stuff and then how you know you go to figure out a solution, you know, talk with somebody, or you're bumping into a medicine or something like that. It's still something that's fascinates me. It's like it's so interesting to hear it from you, Loazi and Bumi, in terms of like the energy that links you to things, you know, knowing about things that you thought would see, you know, hey, how do I know this thing, you know? But this week I was listening to somebody who was saying, Wuti, um, everything they teach you, you know, it's just good. It's I got downgraded you. You haven't downloaded the right information or right key, or you haven't tapped into it, you know. So it's so interesting in terms of when you go into the space and then what you learn. No, thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Yes, I agree with you. I mean, it's crazy because we think that the world that we live in is objective and it's all about what we see. It's everything about what we see, but there's something beyond that. It's like the signs are there, but if you keep ignoring the signs, they start disappearing. So there is an objectivity of life, meaning like in this dimension, there's time. Things take time, and there's all types of things. There's duality, meaning that for every plus there's a minus. For birth to happen, the death has to happen, etc. But there's also subjectivity, meaning that we influence our reality and through our thoughts, and we are all connected. All of us are connected. So the objective part is where the universe is trying to direct us, or the planets rather, is trying to direct us into a certain path. The subjective part is where we decide which direction or how we want to be used. So there's a balance in all these things. Did I miss any question whilst I was away there?
I don't think
No, but then Bongi's here. She has a question.
Hi. Thank you for sharing. It's so interesting. So I think I have a question that I want to ask regarding this. You said there are different types of these medicines. I was gonna say medication, it sounds so wrong. Medicines is better. Okay, so the other day, which was earlier this year in March, I did ayahuasca. I do not really have a pretty story why I went to do it. Pretty in terms of interesting, but because I do like things. So I'm like, you know what? Why not? And I've been wanting to do it, or maybe I'm not so deep in seeing the reasons why I wanted to do it in the first place. But then I went. So I'm hearing you now saying that ayahuasca is the Mother Gaia. I don't know, I don't know these things so much. And then there is another one. So literally, I came out of that place because it was more like imvuselelo, like the whole night thing, obviously, because you couldn't go back home at night, maybe at 11 or whatever, because of safety reasons. But I was really, I didn't see again, probably I love drama. I don't know. I don't know what happened, or whether something happened or it didn't. And I came out there, I'm like, you know what, I want to do this thing again. But now there are two things that I've just learned, that there is the one for the mother and the one for the father. And what I've noted in myself is that most times anything that has to do with the mother, that's where I cry. Anything that has to do with the father, that's where I cry so much. So I'm sitting here thinking, wasn't it because it's the mothers? I don't have a beef with the mothers, right? I don't have a problem with those people. They're my people. But I have a beef with the father. So I'm thinking maybe that's that now, like only like today. But again, I mean, I've done the other meditation for the fathers the other day, and it was like damn crazy and messed up. Then the mothers are like, nah, nothing. It's all good. I understand you guys. We're fine. There's nothing. So now I'm thinking maybe that's that. So the question that I wanted to get to, probably just a comment to say, does it matter which one do you take according to the thorn that you might be having and going through? Do you, when you meet up with people in your session, then decide, okay, I think this person needs this kind of whatever medicine than the other one? Because probably that is also important. I think that's it. That's it. But yeah, I'm like, no, I'm not.
Hello, am I back?
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Hey, Bongi. I wanted to know though, Bongi, Gutsi, how long was the trip supposed to be? And you didn't feel anything. And before the trip, did you have a pre-trip session where you guys spoke about what are your intentions? I just want to understand the setting of your trip as well, because that also comes into consideration. But when it comes to medicine, ayahuasca works both ways. It's a very good medicine. The reason why it's called a mother, it's because of its gentle nature. When the other one is called the father, because it's really pound for pound. It really hits you without negotiating with you. So if you can imagine this, how a mother plays with a child versus how a father plays with a child. So that's the different dynamic between the medicine. It's not necessarily to say that this is ayahuasca is always is strictly dealing with the mother. No, it deals with all the wounds, but it's how the medicine works with you. Yeah. So yeah, how long was the trip? How long was the trip supposed to be? Because then I can tell how much medicine they administered. Then I can answer you.
Okay, so we got there around 7 in the evening. I think the whole thing probably started, at 8 and stuff. But then we didn't just drink it once off, we're just drinking, going, taking turns, going and drinking and sitting. So it was in a group of how many people? I don't know how many people, probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. So obviously the first time when you got there, there was an intention that was said, but it was not like a one-on-one probably understanding of anything, but it was just the intention there's only one guy who was there for the first time, who was there for many times, who probably does these things more. So I wasn't sure what is it that it's supposed to. One thing though that I really did is to vomit
But yeah.
the whole thing, probably because it's just so like raw, and I don't know, whatever. Not that I was expecting something sweet, but it was just something like that. But I still like I don't know. Then I think around 12. because we had been kind of like fasting that day, going to that, trying to, be cleaner and stuff. Around 12 o'clock, 1, we then, the group, the thing was finished. Well, the ceremony was wrapped up.
And then you guys
Yeah.
drove home.
No, like I said, we
Oh,
slept
sorry.
there. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Oh man, that was a short time. That means they gave you guys like, I think what they were trying to do was introduce you to the medicine. It wasn't necessarily for an immersion, meaning like it wasn't necessarily for you to go through, because the fact that you are starting to purge. So there are stages. When you start to purge, meaning it's either you are farting, or you're yawning, or you're burping. Yeah, so those four, yeah. Farting, yawning, burping, and what else? Oh, you feel like peeing all the time. That is called purging. It's when it's almost
I
like,
was just
hey, it,
sorry, I was just about to say one of the ladies that I was with actually peed on herself. So yeah, peeing is also one of the stuff that
yeah,
happens.
and
Just wanted to add to that. Sorry.
yeah, that's a good add up. I mean, I'm sure when she was peeing, she was feeling like she's releasing stars that are coming out of her, because
Definitely.
that's how crazy it can get. But there's those signs. A person would say to you, when the trip is starting, you can see that okay, now she's vomiting. Okay, now the medicine is starting to work. But because these guys are just doing an introduction, they didn't go deep with you. They could have had a sense after the third hour that they need to go deeper with you, meaning that you need more medicine. Because it's a different dose for each person, by the way. So we just use intuition, but we know how much of a dose each person should need, but it's not usually more than double the dose. Otherwise, you're really gonna experience something else. It's gonna be too many downloads, and it's gonna take us very long time when we're doing integration after the trip. Integration after the trip is basically us now trying to undress the trip and making you see the things that you have seen. And if your trip was too aggressive, that undressing might take even a year or 2 years even, because it's you went to too many things. So yeah. Does anyone else have a question? More dose is good for junkies. Oh my god. Yeah, man. I mean, there are many ways to make a trip work. There's also an experience that I thought I would never ever had with a client that I had, where the medicine works without any visuals, but the clients, whilst they going through the medicine, they would be going through everything you can imagine. You'd see them doing like weird moves, sleeping like a baby, and you're like, oh, they're probably in their mother's womb now, etc. But then by the time the medicine is over, which is 8 hours, 9 hours later, then the person would say, no, they didn't see anything, but they can feel like they're in a different universe entirely. So that has happened to me once, and I always said before, it was like, I think it was an ego thing, saying it will never ever happen. In the shamanic community that I'm in, I'd say that will never ever ever happen to any of my clients. I've never had something like that, but it did happen. And the beauty of it is, though, is that the transformation did happen as well. Because my biggest fear was like, oh no, there's not going to be a transformation. I'm all about healing and empowerment. I said to this lady, no, you need to come back tomorrow. We're gonna continue with this process, and we did continue with the process, and it happened exactly the same as the night before. But the crazy part is, as the week go, the month go, the second month goes, the third month, she keeps like coming back and saying to me, that she experienced. Oh my God, like her life has transformed. People at work are saying, "What happened to you?" Her son wants to come on and do ayahuasca, and all these other different things. Yes, Bongi.
Yes, you touched on something. One, I wanted to check with the issue of you being introduced to the medication, your medicine and stuff. Yeah, so there were two ladies there that were they're very new into the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you sometimes you sit and you see these people, they don't know nothing outside of this. They've never done any personal development, if you call it, or any healing thing.
Mm.
And probably to them that was nice, that was good, that was gentle, because also they were scared, not like some, other people like me who just love, yeah, okay, maybe love drama and stuff. So as what you're saying now, I'm thinking, because this was done in a group, probably these people, they then say, we don't want to go over whatever with this and give everybody a same dose, so that it can be kind of a controlled environment, whatever.
Yes.
Especially because other people, they go to this thing, they've never been through anything, they don't understand, and they will go more crazier and stuff. But again, probably that is the drama that I'm looking for. Again, I mean, if you have done some of the things, you're like, oh, this is the drama. Oh, okay, cool. How are you and stuff, kind of thing, whatever, how it happens. But I think I wanted to ask, does 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 anyone recommend that this thing needs to be done as a kind of like a one-on-one, whether it's far away, whether it's there, but a one-on-one thing, or it must be in a group? How effective is each
Yeah.
option?
I wanna answer you, but you really want me to go deep. I don't wanna speak bad of the guys who are facilitating your journey. But I think that they have some form of carelessness towards the medicine. Um, I don't think that they understand the deeper meaning of the medicine. And so, like any other tree or any other plant that you use, if you went through like any African traditional journey, you know that there's something called umoti, the herbs, and someone can give you the same umoti and it will work differently to the other person. And but these plants are so strong, they work universally. But maybe how they work now is it can be a little different. Because first of all, I don't think you can administer a generic dose for for people. You sort of have to go through understanding who they are, where they are, what they are. And there's also the other parts where getting people ready for that a couple of days before, if possible, it could be a month before, but days also work. And also having a sense of where someone's consciousness is in terms of their spiritual journey as well, to know exactly what to administer in that moment, to have an intuitive sense as to this is how much this person needs. Because the next thing what's going to happen is, if it gets in a commercialized format like that, like, hey guys, just come in and you're just going to dose you all, then you just for you to just see what ayahuasca does, then you're going to not have the full experience, and you might next shy away from the medicine that could literally help you. Um, you can have a group of people. I've never had a large group, but you can certainly have a group of people in different administrations, and in how you mix the medicine as well also counts and factors in. And where you get the medicine as well also factors in. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. Kaula, you'd be so bored if you didn't see anything. Oh man, that means you'd
Honestly,
have to
I
be
think I'm
ready.
also like Bonnie.
There's a fear though that happens, sometimes when you're administering. The fear of not being able to control. Not only the fear, but maybe the intuitive sense that your energy will not be able to control this. So I think that maybe that might have happened, and but in those cases when the medicine says that to you and you're administering it on behalf of someone, you're facilitating it. What I usually do is that I take more time. So if let's say we're doing Huachuma, and Huachuma is like 12 hours, I know I'm just like, let's take 16 hours. In my head, I say that so that we can go to where we need to go. Because within the trip, you can keep administering it. It doesn't end like, oh, now you just had that dose, now you're done. No, within the trip, when you are vomiting and going through your purging, that was the next parts where we need to administer more medicine. It's either that or we use other herbs around to create the ambience that you go to that world, the way you are going to receive all these lessons. Yeah, guys. Yeah, so here's the most interesting parts. One of the most interesting trips that I've ever went through, whilst you guys are still trying to figure out as to, I'm sure there's some guys who are new to this, are like, what the hell? This is certainly not true. But anyway, things that I've learned throughout the medicine is that were shocking me are stuff like how, medicine has been around here for thousands of years. And if you look at ancient hieroglyphs and stuff, you can see how much these guys were influenced by the medicine. Enormous influence, enormously influenced by them creating that ancient world, those structures and everything. They had to go through some sort of trip to actually see that and understand reality and draw conclusions that reality operates a certain way. You can see this in universally. For example, I think that every single continent in the world has its own medicine. Here in KZN alone, we have Ikowe, the mushroom, which is the Natal mushroom, which is a very strong mushroom. And you have in other countries too. Every country in the world, I think, indigenous tribes had some form of medicine that made them see beyond. And the crazy part is that you think that you know a lot about the world, but you know nothing. Even about yourself, you know zero. Zero. I thought I knew a lot. I realized that I didn't know anything. There were times where the medicine was showing me that, that your energy chose your parents. Your soul or your energy is the one that chose your parents. You said, I'm looking for a very specific set of circumstances. I'm looking for this and this. I'm looking for a father, if you are abused, who is going to abuse me. I'm looking for a mother who is going to be loving, if you had a loving mother or parent. And that is the set of circumstances that your energy said is what it wants. And you are now this ball of energy and you are not aware because you are in this matrix where even time is a creation that you created. And I used to sit in a lot of debates. I used to be in some scientific community, even though I'm not a scientist, years ago, where there were debates around the God and the Big Bang and the string field theory and all those things. And I realized that we can't even begin to understand what God is because because we are talking from a space of time. We are talking from duality, meaning we are talking from a place where time exists. We are not thinking from a place where time doesn't exist, because for the beginning to happen, if we're calling it the beginning and the end or cause and effect, we have to be in a time frame. But now remove that and be inside the medicine where it shows you that even time is manipulated, it's not really real. Then you're like, oh man, I will never understand this. So I think most of us in this world, we draw conclusions. We draw conclusions upon what we see, which is physical, but there's an incredible amounts of non-physical. You know, like Utsabo said, if you could wear glasses, right, that could see energy and see like where you are moving towards and the things that you are going towards, you'd be so shocked. You'd be like, oh my God, all my life I have this billboard, which is my energy, this billboard running around, and that is written that I'm looking for someone to hurt me. And you're like, oh my God, because now you're wearing those glasses. But now, because we rely on the physical, we're like, oh no, guys or women are hurting me because I'm looking this way, and we fix the physical, and we don't know. So remember, I spoke about dimensions. There's another dimension that I saw within my trip. A dimension that I thought never existed, which is the dimension of how people can influence your energy subjectively, remotely. So someone can influence your energy and who you are. Someone can influence, but now there's no influence that's greater than you because you are the source energy. But people can influence energy. Someone can take, I was seeing within the trip how people can take your energy and bury it whilst you're alive, and you'll be living there like almost like a zombie being zombified. And you're thinking that you're alive. But now it's because now you don't understand your power to begin with. So that person can manipulate and play with your power because you don't understand it. So I've seen how the human being is extremely strong. And there's no one who can say something that can utterly destroy you unless you allow it, unless that's a vibration you're vibrating within and you're allowing it through your vibration. I saw a question. When am I planning to have the next session? As soon as you're ready, Zanele. Guys, so there are ways, né? Yeah, like this is like insider stuff, right? That I'm talking about. There are ways where you can administer medicine, strictly the medicine, meaning like strictly the main event. But what I've learned over time with transformation and the medicine is microdosing, which I used to shy away from. But it's microdosing, meaning that before, what I usually do with people is that before you go on a trip, I actually microdose, meaning like you're taking small doses of a set of herbs. It could be ayahuasca, it could be Huachuma, it could be anything, it could be Changa. It could be any of the herbs, according to me listening to you and us going through some journey together. I'd administer those herbs, and those herbs now they help you when by the time your trip comes, those herbs help you to sort of fully experience your journey. When I say fully experience, I mean like they help you to fully engage and understand what you are being shown. And they also help you to sit with you as well. Whilst I'm sitting with you, they also sitting with you in a sense of, let's say you had a suppressed memory. And maybe when you were young, you saw someone being killed and you spoke about that person. And then now that person was killed because of you. And now you're someone who's quiet because that's what you created in your world. So within that, you wouldn't understand what that image is sometimes if it just went as an image and it wasn't like a full body experience, because it can happen like that. But when you administer the medicine before the journey, it actually helps the client to sort of understand what that meant. It's like, oh my God, that was me. That's why I have throat cancer or whatever. That's insider stuff, ne? So don't tell those guys, Bongi, the ones who are doing you a once-off thing. When am I planning the next session? Sorry, I didn't answer your question. Oh my God, got carried away. The next session is, I usually just, when it comes to sessions, I get people through referral. It's only now that I'm reaching out. So as I shared the other day, that we built a website and stuff. And so a session is entirely upon like the client and us communicating as from the first time communicating and me seeing what to do, when to do it, how to do this and this and this. Because there is also a process where the medicine has to be cooked. There's also a process where it has to be baked and all types of science things or all types of jungle things actually. So yeah, but I guess maybe your question is also as to like what is my that normally what is the normal trip? Um th- oh sorry. Yeah, I'll answer you now, Tabisa. So the normal trip that I do is that I first administer to someone a microdose. We first establish as to what's needed, and then I create a package around you, a particular package. And then that package involves a microdosing. The microdosing can be a variety of herbs, like I said, including the ones of the main event. And then I actually figure out as to what's needed for the main event for you as well. And then post the event, then there's also a little bit of microdosing to help you integrate your journey even further. And then post session integration also involves us talking, because imagine if you went to a trip and then you realize that your whole life is misplaced, and then the next thing you're coming from a trip and you're saying, no, 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 I'm divorcing. And everyone is like, what the hell is going on? So you have to integrate that so that you can do that in a way that is in this dimension. So that's post session integration. And usually I charge all of that for 3.5. And I do have sponsorship as well. Sponsorship happens more so depending on how many people that I would be having in that particular time. If I can actually like sacrifice some of the medicine and be like, okay, no, I'm gonna charge little, etc. And it also depends on my main business if it's doing well. Because honestly, guys, I just wish, I always say this, I just wish that everyone could go through this experience at least once a year. At least just once a year, man. Like everyone just go through this experience. In the beginning of the year, take a week off. We go, we do yoga, we do breathing, we do this, and we do a main event, which is total and absolute immersion. You will never, I've done everything. NLP, hypnosis, you can imagine. I've never, ever, there's nothing that comes close to psychedelia. Personally, I've never experienced anything that comes close. And I've done a variety of things along the way. Yeah, and chronic illnesses, Tabisa. When it comes to chronic illness, they psychosomatic. They mostly psychosomatic, meaning that it's just an inherited dysfunction that was stored in your body that became an illness. There's a lady who, when she was young, her father. Sorry, guys, I keep talking about gruesome things because people come to me. But the mother and the father were having a fight, and then the mother tried like killing the father, and then in that moment, she folded, and that's where her stomach cramps started. So the stomach cramps, then she's went to every type of doctors saying we don't know what's going on, don't know what's going on. But it goes back to that first event, and she had to heal that event and how she felt and feel safe within that event and realize that it's not her fault, and also realize a lot of other things that you can realize through therapy, by the way, or hypnosis or NLP, that you could realize that, but it will take you maybe 10 years or 20 years, I think. So she went through that, and that's how the chronic illness was healed. Yeah, man, Lerato. Guys, I'm really I'm having more and more people who are in Johannesburg, and some of them have experienced some mushroom, and they like, we just want the next thing, because mushrooms are like 10 or 20 times more potent than Huachuma or Ayahuasca. So yeah, I'm looking for a place in Johannesburg where I could at least have 1 or 2 weekends where I could operate in, because I'm having more and more people. who have interest on that. And I will announce once I figure the dynamics of that out. I will announce. It might just be this month, actually.
Lozi, you mentioned microdosing.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's that kind of thing that I sent you, that medicine.
Mm-hmm.
How is it different with how does it work? Because I mean, it was for me, it was interesting. I mean, but you know what? I think something like that, package like that, microdosing, like the gummies, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a way to introduce people to this because
Yes.
actually now I just got a WhatsApp now from a client with my spiritual what I'm just because you get calls from people like they self-discover, yeah, one.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's the microdosing part. I mean, the 10 milligram is you can build up easy up and then you go and then. So I'm just saying you must think of something like that in those lines,
I
so that we can started getting people to be aware and to because eventually people are curious,
yes, yes.
and the stories that you get from people with I mean, one guy you were saying him and Lamasito Ako at home I was happy, I was singing and my kids, and then woke up the next day, everybody was happy, but he was scared. Good him fit. I hope I didn't reveal anything. But I think if we administer it in the right way, in small dose, and then give information about to, and
Mm.
it gets to a place where we heal people, you
Yeah.
know, in a correct way, and ngoba, for example, for me, like that junkie status with him, you get somebody to phone 40 milligram,
Mm.
but why do you want 40 milligram? No, I just because the
Yeah.
escape, sometimes the escape is not an escape because you take one of these medicine that we have, it takes you on a different escape. So, and not many people are ready to face that whole journey, but then we need to be more to give them information and to administer in as small as possible. Like even now, I don't even carry more than 15 milligrams of this thing. But I've seen where myself included, So it will be interesting to have
Yeah.
something, to
I
introduce. But the whole weekend thing, Joe's is ready. I think many people that I've sent that poster that you have, they are really there. Actually, people are looking for ways to heal. But I mean, we
mm,
just have to make it happen. We just have to make it happen that you come
yeah.
up, and do this session, bro.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you so much for the support, man. I mean, it's amazing that we as people of color are talking about these things that were taken away from us even from the beginning anyway. But when it comes to microdosing, these type, I know that cannabis works a little differently in terms of pricing. But when it comes to microdosing, the like ayahuasca or chuma or ibogaine or any of the medicines that I administer, it's quite expensive to administer. It's quite expensive to make. You lose a lot of medicine because of how you're transforming the substance from the bark of a tree into something that someone can just take daily. So I usually use the microdosing to amplify a trip and not to sort of introduce someone because it can get really, if the whole immersion is 3,500 rands, the microdosing is 2,800. So if that gives you an idea as to how expensive that is, you know. And so you'd rather just do the full experience. There's another medicine. I think Uzanele once asked me, Uti, when are you doing DMT, which is the one that Mike Tyson famously talks about. Changa. Changa as well is like it's a small session. It's like compressing the big session into like 20 minutes. So those 20 minutes, you experience what someone could experience in 10 hours, but you will feel like you were gone for like 6 hours, but in 30 minutes. But now it is so expensive as well. So I do have it. In fact, I have it right here. I do have the smokable version, but as you will see in shamanic communities, it's not really something that many people do. If they do it, they should sort of shortchange people and they put a little bit of it. But it's because of how expensive it is. You know, the further away the medicine comes from, the more expensive it usually becomes. Because if we're sourcing medicine from the deep jungles of the Amazon, or from Gabon, or from any parts of the world, it becomes extremely expensive, and it becomes hard now to change that and make it more like a microdosing thing. And I'll add another last pointer, that I'm an immersion type of guy. I prefer going extremely immersed in the because I've seen that. Well, for me, that is more transformative than us to have someone go through the experience slowly and slowly, unless there's a program around it. But again, that program will be so expensive. But yeah, man, I'm hearing your points, and I'm entirely open to it. I wish one day, after a couple of years, because I do have my own planted medicine, when it grows, maybe I'll be able to control and be like, let's make it like maybe 500 rands. I don't know, for like 10 days. Yeah.
Hey, Lwazi, just a quick one from me, and I think a whole lot of us are thinking the same thing right now.
Yeah, boy.
Back to my question. So when do you plan on having this the session? Because I feel like a lot of us are definitely interested. We on some, where do we sign right now? You know,
Right.
when do you plan on having it? In terms of location, I know you're based in KZN. I'm not sure where most people are based.
Yeah.
You know, where would you want to have it? What is the exact price? Where do we sign up? What do we need
Where
to
do
do?
I sign? Give me the papers.
No, where do we sign up?
So, as I explained earlier, Zarele, thanks. That's a good question. Is that I'm looking for a place, and I found a place in Lone Hill. I don't know. I don't know if it's close to many of you guys. I'm assuming it is because it's in the north, right? Um, and yeah. So I was thinking at the end of August. So I'm still yet to announce that. And how I'd like us to go around with this, with anyone who's interested, is that I'd like us to start with microdosing. I'd like us to start with pre-sessions, like us talking, communicating. That's how I do it, because I want you to have the maximum effect. And then I'd like us to really, really go deep on that 27th of August, which is the end of this month. But I'm yet to announce that. I hope that answers you. Or do you want me to be like, I'm in Johannesburg?
No, that's hundreds. So it's 27 August. So I'm assuming you'll share the details. We'll reach out,
Yes,
most
yes,
probably
yes.
form a group, and we'll start those pre-sessions, right?
100%.
Okay.
100%. By the way, guys, I just want to know: have all of you guys, have you ever heard of this, or is it the first time? Do we have someone who's listening to this first time and thinking, "Oh man, these guys are just insane. I need to come out of this group." Hey, because that's how I'd feel if it was my first time coming to a group and some guys so care about seeing ancestors.
Well, for me, like I will watch movies there, like see on shows where I see maybe they do like rituals and they're using certain medicine to help people. Maybe if somebody has an amnesia and they need to find themselves again, then they'll use medicine to help them go back or reunite with themselves. But I don't know, something like that. But I've never really heard about it like I'm hearing about it now. I always see on movies and I wonder, what is it like? what
Yeah.
type of like those Indians, red Indians, and like I'll watch movies. Like I'm always intrigued by stuff like that. So I'm watching the movies and I see even in the steam room, like that man-made steam room, and they're going there on that hot stone, and the steam gets in them, and then it gets them on high in another level. So I'll watch them and I wonder what type of medicine is that. And I'll think like, what, I should try something like that because of how my life and everything, like how everything has been. Like I feel like I should try something like that. Maybe some things will make sense and all the connections that I'll have that I don't understand will make sense if I try something like that.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's so crazy because I used to watch those things when I was younger. And it's like, these people are nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I wonder, like, what they do different from us? How come we never practice things like this? And we also Africans, and but we never practice such things to heal ourselves. We always rush to pharmacies and stuff. Like, we never really tap into this whole herbs and understanding. Because my grandma used to say there's everything for everything. Just go to the mountain, you find something.
Mm.
But then they left with the knowledge. They never passed it on to us to understand plans and which one to go for, or all of those things. So that's the sad part about it. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think because of colonization, etc. But things are starting to slowly pop back up. And we are lucky that we have Ama Bushmen, people who live on the borders, like in Namibia and Botswana, etc., and even here in South Africa, who are still administering.
Yeah, he's a bushman. I don't know much about the whole thing, but he is a bushman.
Wow. Because they have medicine, psychedelic medicine as well. In fact, I recently had the experience of their medicine. It's quite powerful as well. Hey, Tabisa.
All right, Nkosi Butwam. What I wanted to say is that from Uzanele's question, because Lwaz is based in KZN, yes, I know that he did mention, I think he's going to share, I don't know, Lwazi, the pricing, I think you didn't share that part or the price list. But anyway, because he did say that there's different medicine for different things, so it will depend on the circumstances for each person, maybe what medicine to be administered, and then he'll calculate the quantities. But the other thing is that he can come here once there's substantial number or group, to come up to Gauteng. I think that's why there's also that thing of not being sure the dates. You're not the dates, rather to confirm the month.
Mm.
So maybe Lwazi just needs to find a way of seeing people's commitment so that he can then be able to commit to a date. But if he can't do it for August, most probably, I think, I don't know, Lwazi, if that's something that we can share, that we're also thinking around end of October, that's the next session, depending whether that is going to be the first session or
Yeah.
the next session. I think the other Blink guy also did ask. I don't know. I don't know whether he was asking about the recording or the next session, but when Lwazi will be in town physically, it will be when there's enough people for him to make the trip to Gauteng. Thank you.
Yes, 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 Tabisa. Thanks for coming in there because I've been talking with Tabisa around this thing, and she's been helping me in some sort of way. I've been like, hey, I'm looking for a place in Johannesburg where I could set up and just get started with people who have interest. And I'm going to share the price again. Again, the entry level, which is an incredible immersion, is 3.5, which involves the microdosing pre-session. It involves the full session. It involves post-session medicine and integration. So that's the 3.5. And what I usually do is that I allow people to pay in installments before the actual final events that we come through if they feel like it's too much. And I can have a sense as well if someone needs a sponsorship, as I highlighted earlier, which means that just a little bit less than the actual price. But because the medicine that I have is, for me, is it's quite sensitive because it has cycles. So it takes me some time now to get the medicine from where it's coming from. And once it's finished, I have to wait for some time. And that's why I'm sometimes careful with the sponsorships, but I do give out sponsorships. I do. I've been so loving with the medicine. Yeah, so yeah, I hope this answers you guys. But I'm hoping for possibly end of this month. I'm really, really hoping that it could happen that way. Why my website, I can share it with you guys here, and my number. You guys have my number, right? I am Kruma, Loazin Kruma from the group.
Okay, Lwazi, it's not everyone who's coming from the group. Thank you for sharing your number. There you go, Mr. Blink. I just forgot your name. So I've shared your stuff or this session on other places outside. So that's why the
Yeah.
guy didn't
Oh,
know where,
cool.
where you could be found. Yeah, but that's his number. Please grab from there, people. And yeah.
Okay. Oh, I shared twice. Okay, guys, I think we should wrap up. Does anyone have any questions before we wrap up? Tejo,
Yes, what's up?
yeah, man, what do you
No,
think? You usually the commander of these sessions.
I'm not sure. I think maybe everyone is satisfied, but if they will want you to maybe explain on some things, they can always post them in the UC group, and then we can always take it from there. But I can see that you shared details on the ceremonies that are still gonna come, right?
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, now that you shared your numbers, that's great. But yeah, thanks guys. Thank you so much for being here and allowing Lazi to just share this beautiful medicine. And as we've heard, there's like great testimonies from that. And we really, really appreciate the support that you gave today. And thank you so much to you too, Lazi. Thank you so much for just giving us your time and allowing us to learn more about this medicine. It's about healing our people. It's about giving our people exposure to things that could really bring in solutions, not just the talks that we normally have, but solutions and getting into the depth of our traumas and whatnot. So you said no questions anymore, right?
Yes,
Everybody is
I think
satisfied?
everyone is
Yeah.
happy and done. So that means I did a great job, guys. If there's no questions, I need to give
No, man,
myself
you killed it.
I
You
need to
killed
give
it.
myself an award after this, eh?
Yeah, always, always, always,
Thank you,
always,
guys.
always tap yourself on the back after you kill it. Thank you, guys. Namaste.
Namaste, guys. Bye bye now.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Bye.
You exit on your own. We don't exit for you.
I'm not going anywhere.
Hi, Boo.
You know, there's always a meeting after a meeting.
I'm actually wondering. Good. And then
It's those ones who have
No
secret
one will
meetings.
move me. No one will move
I
me.
will
I'm
not be
rooted and
moved.
grounded.
and look at Jonathan. Look at Jonathan just there, smile and wave, but saying
I'm the
nothing.
bishop, whether you like it or not.
No, listen, guys, I'm busy with a little project. So I've been listening and I'm almost done with my project. So yeah, it's been, yeah. So I don't want to show too much of my project. But yeah, it was a good presentation. And look, I was just a bit concerned because I have, they say it's borderline hypertension. So, you know, that bit that you said about once I get into the trees and I get a script there, ooh, I'm not sure if I get a heart attack or something. Oh, we don't want that. Eh?
No,
I
man,
want to be able to come back.
it won't happen.
Eh?
Like I say, it depends on the person. I've had like 60, how old was that lady? 60 years old, I'm not sure. And she was fine. So it's like,
Yeah.
it depends on the administering of the medicine, really. If it
Yeah.
wasn't, if I was general and not particular, then it would be bad. But each
Yeah.
person is an
No, I think
individual. But one medicine
I
I
would
wouldn't
like to
give to you is
experience that.
Huachuma. Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I'll definitely follow the what's happening and whatnot with regards to the workshop or whatever you're gonna have.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Okay.
yeah, it's
Did
gonna be
you record
amazing.
it, Rosie?
Thanks,
Hey,
guys.
hey,
Did you record?
yeah,
Did
yeah,
you
yeah.
record? Recording.
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Yes. I guess for those who haven't shared, and maybe somebody's gonna share them to this medicine, it would be
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
And yeah, the
Pepper,
testimony
you're
is
so cool. You're like a
cut
mother.
out the part where Mpumi spoke about it on your website.
Tejo, you're so cool. You can be like a mother.
What did I do? What did I do? I didn't do anything. I was so quiet today.
You're like
Best behavior.
my son.
Hayi,
My
yazi
son,
well
after all
done,
this
man.
presentation you did, my son, did you record though, my son? Because people are gonna need you. I'm like, yes, ma, yes, and yes, I did, ma, yes. and you're like, okay, good. Okay, good, because people are gonna need this, my son, all right? They're gonna need this after.
They got
No, man. Anyway, guys, let's call it a night, man. I mean, tomorrow is Monday. We have to ace it.
I'll even tell you how to edit it and put what.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
It's gonna be amazing. Guys, bye bye. Tabitha, Jonathan, Amanda. Amanda, you still here? Romy is still here. Yeah.
This is your home. This is your home. You are here to,
Hey, now it's like the last airbenders. Bye bye, guys.
No, she left.
Amanda is long gone.
Tabitha just left. Mina, guys, I don't close the door. People exit automatically, and I'm the last one.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Mm.
Bye bye. Bye, ma.
It's only you.
Bye bye, mommy.
You're welcome. Bye.
Hey, bye bye.